Hello and welcome to the Ruth MacFit podcast, where we chat all things health, fitness, nutrition, and how to build habits that actually work with your life. Now, if you're enjoying these episodes, and it really helps if you like and you subscribe, and I absolutely love hearing from you. So please do leave a comment, maybe a 5-star review, and let me know what has resonated with you. Right, let's get into today's episode. I am very, very lucky to be joined today by Lisa, who is from, Walking This Way on Instagram. You may have followed her, and if you haven't, you absolutely should. And I wanted to get Lisa on the podcast today because she is an inspiration. You go on there and you will see her dancing around in her underwear, doing high rocks, doing triathlons, doing naked photo shoots as you do just on the side. Why not? And it would be easy, I think, to think that Lisa has always been this confident, brave person. But I know that this hasn't always been the case. And actually, there was something that she said on a podcast episode of hers. I think it was the first episode of her podcast. And she said that a coach had said to her when she was scared of doing something, "Who are you to deprive your inspiration from the world?" And I thought, yes, that's it. We keep ourselves hidden and locked in through this fear, but actually we can inspire others. So I'm here today to introduce you to Lisa, if you don't know her already, and for her to share her story about being a little bit braver. So welcome, Lisa. Thank you for being here.
Ruth, thank you so much. We've been following each other for quite a while now, haven't we?
Yes.
A good few years, I think. A good few years.
Yes. I do know how I got to find you. In a weird way, like a mutual friend. So I'm very good friends with a runner called Joe Meek, who I believe is a very good friend with a friend of yours, Claire.
So, lovely, Claire Kappa, absolutely.
That's it.
And she's inspirational. I know we're going to talk about my story, but can I just quickly tell you a story about Claire Kappa? In 2018, we met in New Zealand. She was over there for about 3 months. Seeing another friend from down your way, actually. And I was traveling around the world with my kids. That's a whole different story, but I was. And we met up in Queenstown and got absolutely drunk. I've just realised I won't swear. We got really, really drunk.
I'm not offended. It's all good.
In Queenstown together. So the next morning, she was talking about her life and what she was doing. And, you know, she was definitely a girl that would go down the pub and have a beer or 2 or 3 or 15. And I said, do a triathlon. She was a cyclist. She wasn't, you know, Claire's very fit, but I said, do a triathlon. And she said, what do you mean do a triathlon? Why do a triathlon? I said, do a triathlon. It'll change your life. And she then did a triathlon down your way. It was in the sea down in Devon. But I remember like 2 months later, let's say, because I was into triathlon by then, 2018. A couple of months later, I was by a pool in Vietnam. So we'd been in New Zealand. I was in Vietnam. And I picked up the phone and it was Claire. She'd given me a WhatsApp call and she said, how the beep did you do a triathlon? And she was in the middle of the training for it all. I mean, she does so much better. That's why she knows your friend Joe Meek as well, because I know running squirrel. Like, yeah, they're both insane. On different levels of fitness. Yeah. But and she said, how'd you do it? And she did her first triathlon and she's gone on from then. I'm not saying that was all of it, but that life-changing moment that we find, doesn't matter where it is or when it is. I think she went from kind of somebody that would drink too much beer and have the odd cycle ride to she should be professional athlete. I mean, she's definitely semi-pro.
She's done loads. I mean, for those that don't know, I mean, years ago I had Joe on the podcast, I think, but Joe was a GB marathon runner years ago, and then she was GB ultra runner. Now she's still doing ultra marathons, but ultra marathons are insane. And her holidays are normally spent with Claire going on some insane journey. And I'm like, it's an event for most people, but she's just doing it in her spare time. And I think Joe's also a physio, and I believe I was having a treatment with her when she was like, oh, Claire's getting one of her friends to follow you, and your name then popped up. And I think I saw that you were following Joe and Claire as well. And I thought that must be the person that Joe is talking about. But one thing I do also want to say about Lisa, because I know she's going to do this, is that she says, and I wrote it down, about how this isn't her journey. This is your journey. It's all about you. But actually today, this isn't all about everyone else, Lisa. This is about you. So we're going to turn it back on you today.
No, and I'm thank you. And I will take, I am a talker, Ruth. I'll talk forever.
So am I, unfortunately,
I just
for
think,
you.
but you know, and I know as well, like there's what's menopause brains kicking in. Like everybody's stories are so enriching in our lives. Stories are enriching. And whilst I do talk about myself, it's other people, it's the give and the take in all of that. It's just, I love it. The richness when we listen and we tell stories and how powerful they are. And now I've forgotten the original question before I told you about Claire.
No, really, it's just finding out a little bit more. I mean, I love the show Desert Island Discs for that same thing, that everybody's got a story to tell. And it's very easy, I think, to look at people's lives, see them doing whatever it is they're doing, and just think that person is just like that. That's the way they are. And the amount of women that I meet who are scared of starting something because they're worried they'll look silly, they're worried what other people will think, or they're worried they're going to be bad at it. I think there's this thing that, and I've definitely been guilty of this in the past, of thinking I'm not going to be very good at that. And then maybe not having a go because of that. But actually, we aren't just born good at things. We have to practice at them. But you might be surrounded by people like Claire and Joe who have practiced for a long time and are very, very good at it. And there's a reason they're very good at it. It means a lot to them. So they've practiced a lot. And if it's important to you, I think you will, but you've got to take that first step. And you have, I think it's the parkrun story that I found really interesting. So Lisa, you've obviously been exercising for a long time, but what I love about the way that you are moving your body is it seems to be more about what you're capable of doing that's making you do it and how it makes you feel, rather than, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing this number of steps and this, you know, whatever it is. It seems to be purely about joy for you. That's what it feels like anyway.
So number one, I rarely call it exercise. I call it moving. I call it moving every day because I think exercise is a word that already like takes people out of the game. No, it doesn't, it's semantics, Ruth. But for me, it's moving and moving for mental health. And there's an Instagrammer called Kat Sims, and she said, I go to the gym for my mind and my ass comes along for the ride. And it's that level of, but I think it's really like movement changed my life. And that parkrun story that you shared at the beginning, I was so frightened that I didn't belong at parkrun. And at that time, I'm very open about my weight, not because I judge myself about my weight, but I'm 20 odd stone and I go up to about 22 stone and I've been down to about 16 stone and it fluctuates, Ruth. And sometimes I'm on the way down and sometimes I'm on the way up. And I share my weight and my photographs in my underwear because women feel bad about themselves because the number they see on the scales. My value and my worth has nothing to do with that number. I share it so that other people who have a fear of that number can say, oh, hang on, if she can do it at 22 stone, I can do it. I can show up. The parkrun story, I was so scared of doing that parkrun that you're talking about. And I had a life coach at the time, JP de Villiers. I'd been out on a retreat in Thailand, which was the scariest thing. It was a Muay Thai retreat, Muay Thai boxing retreat. I was so scared, Ruth. My youngest child at that point was about 3. So they'd have been about 3, 6 and 8, give or take. And I think that's a time when mums, particularly when their kids turn about 3, 4, it's a time where we've got the youngest. I mean, you kind of have a little bit of a space again open up, not big, but like, you know, nursery kind of comes in or some childcare so we can breathe again. And it was definitely, I've looked back on it and I look at other women and I think that child rearing age at the 3, 4 stage for the youngest, for some reason, I had this opening in my mind and I went to Thailand. I cried all the way. I cried in the car to the airport. I cried on the plane. I cried when I got there. For the first 24 hours, we were about 20 people in this one place for 10-day retreat. I cried. I called James, my husband, every 10 seconds. And I said, I need to come home. This is not my place. This is not my people. I almost had a panic attack, Ruth, to go there. And ultimately getting uncomfortable in the biggest way that I possibly could is what really sort of changed a pathway in my brain. I did that retreat in Thailand. By day 3, I didn't call. Day 1, I was calling James every 20 minutes. I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. Like my husband, because I got so entrenched in my family, my husband, my children. Like it was so frightening to be somewhere else. So I went through that retreat. I came back again. And in that retreat, it happened almost immediately within 10 days with JP. He still does them in Thailand. But within that, any retreat, anywhere, get out of your geography to go somewhere to make a change. And within that time, movement came into my life. And it's never left it since. We did Muay Thai boxing. We'd get up at 5 a.m. and do yoga. We'd run up big Buddha. Jesus, nobody runs up that big Buddha. Well, they do. Some of them do. But like march, like 4 kilometers straight up. And by the end of it, like before I went, I was frightened that people would see me sweating. Like I didn't even like changing a baby's nappy when the sweating was coming because I thought that was a thing about me being fat.
Oh, I mean, if that, I just have to look at any movement and I'm a heavy sweater. And people say to me, oh, it's because you're fit. And I'm like, no, I've always been this way, like always been this way. I'm just I think some people are. I don't think it's down to that.
And also, but we worry that someone's judging us or looking at us for sweating.
Yeah.
And most
doing
people
a normal
aren't
human
looking.
Thing.
Yes. No, but mostly people aren't looking.
They're too busy sweating themselves, actually. I did BJJ. I tried it a little while ago and we were in Barbados and I was so worried about sweating so much and just dripping onto the person that I was fighting with. And I'm sure I did a few times, but they're like, oh no, it happens all the time. But I was very self-conscious about that.
But Ruth, I look at you and I'm like, oh, what's she talking about? She's a slim person. Like you're not allowed to own the sweat fear. But that's
I'm afraid I do.
Yeah, but how normal we are. But I overcame some of those things. Big Buddha, I overcame those things. In fact, now I'm talking about it, I've got a little bit of a hot flush coming on. But that aside, so that brought movement into my life. Movement made me feel better. And that moment in park run, I was so frightened about doing a park run. I got up at 4 a.m. I had eggs and spinach on sourdough toast because I was like, I'd read that you have to like nutritionally fuel because it was that big to me. And my husband said he was going to come and watch. I was like, no, you can't. But he did go to a different car park and they did watch me. The kids did watch me. And that was kind of part of a series of things that happened around that time. At 20 odd stone that I started doing. Park run is the most inclusive. You could be there. If you can walk, if you could do the distance, however slow, I think within an hour and 20 or so is usually what it's so inclusive. Everybody there is fabulous. There's people in their 80s that go all the time. It's an inclusive, as most sports, challenges and events are. Yeah. They're generally inclusive. And before that time, I'd never done yoga. I'd never been to a gym. I'd never been in a gym. I'd never been in a strength class. Oh my God. And I'm allowed to say this. Of course, nobody else is allowed to say it about me, but everybody loves the fat girl that's turned up because we're the people that really we need to be there. We've chosen to be there against, everybody knows that it took some steps to get us there. Yeah. If you're like a muscly, whatever person, you've done that a few times before. And the people who train people, the people who organize these events are the people who had the love of that event and they want people to join. And once you learn that, and once you learn the endorphins of movement, and move every day became my tagline for ages, I could talk about it all day. I could do it all. I love it. That's how triathlon came in. Anyway.
I think that when you are going to those events, obviously you've got the people that have been doing it for a long time and they're taking it quite seriously. But if you are an organizer or somebody that has been doing it for a while yourself, seeing somebody come in and having that love of it for the first time is fun for you. It makes it more enjoyable for you. I think that's partly why I love introducing people to any movement at all. I think that sometimes the issue with getting moving is that we build it up to have to be this massive thing immediately. And actually the movement every day is such a great little way of doing it. I talk about PJ workouts. I have used that, but doing 5 minutes in your pajamas in the morning, and it doesn't sound like very much. And the reason it doesn't sound like very much is because it doesn't take very long. It is literally 5 minutes. But the ripple effect that has on the rest of the day and how you feel and your mood will likely mean you end up moving more anyway, but it also just makes you feel good. It gives you that energy. So moving every day in whatever way you can is definitely something I'm behind. I know that you said I was listening to your podcast, which is brilliant, by the way, really, really good. That's a new thing, isn't it? But it's really good. But you were talking about how at this stage of life, women are getting smaller and smaller and quieter and quieter. And I suppose that's probably come from experience in the past for yourself. Did you feel like you were shrinking into this different person and then you made it a mission not to? Where did that come from?
Well, the thing was, I mean, I was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but I was shrinking in mindset and everything. And that was in part from becoming a mother. I mean, we're very different people in our lives. And I know not everyone has children, and my experience is children, but in our 20s, we're out there, we're drinking, we're partying, we're being seen, but we really care what everybody thinks. Then in our 30s, we kind of have these children, and I don't want to say it's like a train wreck, but I just did. But it's like your life has changed overnight. We go into massive service for others, for our children, for our babies. And I adore my babies that are now, how old are they now? 17, 16, 13. We definitely lost myself then, definitely shrunk, forgot to look after myself. I didn't know how to look after myself, Ruth. I didn't know how to look after myself because my children came along and we all say, oh, having children won't change me. It's like, oh, yes, it will.
I think it needs to change you to an extent. It can't
not.
Yeah. No, it just has. I mean, I just tried to add more and more. I didn't change. I didn't adapt. I thought I could just handle everything, and then I ended up breaking, and I think that's the thing. You either try not to change and think, well, that's okay, what's one more thing when I'm busy anyway, and it can be the straw that breaks the camel's back, or you neglect all the other things. So there's this balance you're trying to find, isn't there?
If I could tell a woman in her 30s, or can't tell anyone anything, but if I could say one thing to sort of younger women or having babies, and we haven't even mentioned when perimenopause kicks in and you haven't got a clue it's there and the anxiety rises. Self-care should always, always be the priority and the pillars of health, because nothing else they say we've got 99 problems until we have one, health. And then all the other problems go. But we do try to be these super women. They've said women now can have everything. We can have everything. So now we do everything. It's by having it and by working as well. And now you need two people's incomes to pay for a house mortgage and all of those. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I'm not asking for us to go back into the 1950s, but in the 1950s, a single salary could buy a house. And now it can't. So now we're supposed to work. We're supposed to bring up our children, and we're supposed to look after ourselves in the mix of it all.
And then parents as well. Sometimes we're then looking after extended family.
The sandwich, it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. I saw a post once recently about how many hours one not supposed to breastfeed, but the average amount of hours that you are breastfeeding. It blew my mind, Ruth. I need to look it up, actually. I need to look it up.
I felt like I was constantly doing it with my first. I felt like it was never a non-stop thing.
But how could you, if you actually look at the number of minutes and hours, how are you supposed to have done something else in that time? And what we're meant to do genetically during that time, I don't know how we got there, but what we're meant to do is sit and rest at that point with a cup of tea within arm's reach. And of course, now what we're doing is we've got a phone on us, and we're probably doing a bit of work, ordering the Ocado shop, writing back to emails, not looking at our babies, who then don't get the eye contact, they don't get the slow neural pathways, and everybody's ADHD. No surprise. That's a different theory, and that's not science backed. But we just need to be kinder to ourselves. And
our attention is so stretched, isn't it? It's never actually on any. I've got a mind a bit like a butterfly anyway. I was that hyperactive child, but it does feel like there's so much pulling us in each direction. I hear often people who maybe are a little bit older saying nobody used to complain about these things when I was younger, particularly perhaps menopause symptoms, or even maybe postpartum. But I think it's more common with people saying about HRT and perimenopause. but they weren't trying to manage as much. And we know that stress makes these symptoms worse. And that makes sense. Us not getting enough sleep, all of those things are going to make it worse. But we are expected to do so much more. So it's no surprise, is it? All these things we have to deal with as a woman.
And if I'm right about it, I think cortisol is also a hormone. And we spend so much of our lives producing this cortisol that I think Dr. Chatterjee said something about it once, about the fact that, we're using up necessary components that when we go into cortisol, the cortisol production is like running something out within our bodies, so that when we get to perimenopause and menopause, we've got less of the nutrients, that it's the wrong word, or the hormone or whatever it is, within our body to help us. Because I've heard that line as well. It's like, in our day. And I thought, one, we didn't have social media. So if they didn't complain, they couldn't hear anyone else complaining either.
Just suffering in silence, bury it deep.
100%. But the biggest thing for me, Ruth, what changed about that movement, I'm going to say this. So what changed about that movement and why I started triathlon and that park run, doing a triathlon for me, my first triathlon, and it was a baby triathlon. So it was a very short...
triathlon's a triathlon. A sprint triathlon, I think. Is that what you mean? They do the sprint.
I did a super sprint.
Super sprint, yeah.
And super sprint sounds like it's really speedy, but actually it's just really short. Everyone's like, I'm not doing a super sprint. That's what I felt. But it was a 4K run at the end. It might have been a 15K bike ride and a 400-meter swim. And at the time, I did what I call old lady's breaststroke. So, and I had a pair of I don't know what they were, like snorkeling goggles.
Scuba goggles.
Yeah, I had a surfing wetsuit because we had to wear a wetsuit. I swam on the surface for my 400 meters. I had a bike with a basket that I pushed up the hills. It was at Hever Castle. And then I did the run. I found a friend. I wish I could. Katie, she was called Katie. I found a friend on the run. And we would chat with each other. And then when we came to the bits when there were crowds, we ran a little bit, but then we'd really run. And that was my first triathlon. And it was full of, I was 39 at the time. It was just for my 40th birthday. So not quite midlife, because I'm going to live longer than that. But it was full of midlife women that were all very supportive of each other, all having a good laugh, all turning up for the crack. I didn't have any of the right things. What helped me change my personality? So before then, mother, 22. If you look at some of the photos from when I'm holding my babies, I was about 22 stone, and I can be that weight now, Ruth. But then I look puffy and swollen and unhealthy. And now movement has sort of brought me all in together. So even though I'm big, I'm J-Lo.
Even in the last 3 years, I think you look, I know you say you're the same weight, but you look different even in the last 3 years since I've been following you, I would say. Maybe it's just because I'm seeing you more in your underwear now than I was before.
Well, and that was my ultimate, we're so kept small by our thoughts in our head that nobody else hears. We're so mean to ourselves with our ticker tape. And my one was fat and lazy. Honestly, it took me years to get over that, because I thought the whole time, and I think I thought I was lazy because I was fat. So because I'm fat, therefore I am lazy.
It's the stories we tell ourselves.
Oh my goodness, Ruth, the stories we tell ourselves. And that used to probably go through my head. I don't know, but it might have gone through my head 2,000, 10,000, 50,000 times a day. And if I was thinking about something, it'd be like, oh, it's such a shame, Lisa, you're so fat and lazy. Anyway, I did that first triathlon. And although at that point I wouldn't have called myself a triathlete, I will now. I knew I'd done a triathlon, right? Oh my God, there's a triathlon. Around the same time, some family friends and us, we said, right, we're going to climb a mountain every year. And when George had turned 4, a week after George turned 4, we did Snowdon. And I've since done the 3 peaks. And I went up a mountain with Claire Capper. She was much fitter than I was. But went up a mountain in New Zealand with her, which at the end I was like, that was quite difficult. And I realised it was higher than Ben Nevis and all of the ones that we passed.
Amazing. Yeah.
But those were things sort of, Ruth, have you ever climbed a mountain?
I have climbed a mountain, but I doubt it's as high as my husband actually proposed at a mountain, but which was very sweet, but he's not walked up one since with me. I'm just going to say that, which I will mention all the time.
But don't we have this idea that climbing a mountain is like with pickaxes? We feel that climbing a mountain is pickaxes. So walk up a hill and back down again.
It was just a big hill.
It's a big hill. It's
Really
a big
big
hill.
hill.
It's a big walk up a hill. But
Some
before
mountains you might be doing that, but I wouldn't be. Not
No.
the pickaxes.
none of the ones that I've done are like that. And I've done them with kids, and I've done the Three Peaks in the UK, and I've done other ones. I've done a lot of the Lake District. They're not called mountains. But my point is, before that, that was something that other people did. Triathlons was something that other people did. Park run was something that other people did. Yoga was something that other people did. Not fat and lazy people. And once you take that step, dip that toe, dip that leg, dip that whole body out of your comfort zone to do something, your brain starts going, oh, I've done that. I've done that. I've done that. I've done that. It's suddenly not this world unknown to you. And you get to reprogram menopausal brain, can't remember a word. You get to reprogram your brain. And so you show up differently in the world. And then I suppose my ultimate expression of that, and this kind of getting over myself, because we need to get out of our own way sometimes, because that voice is so loud, the inner voice, we have to kind of calm it however we can. And the ultimate expression was, I then posted a picture in my underwear on Instagram, and I felt sick when I first did that, Ruth. It was probably 3-4 years ago. I felt sick. I was like, oh my God, there's going to be so much hate, and who am I? And they're all the skinny minis and all this lot. And going one step further from that, I invited a bunch of strangers to come and take midlife women to be part of a naked photo shoot. And we've done it twice now, because I've got nothing else to hide. The voice in my head, my outside reality, is now so different to what it was back then when I was 39, that I am a different person. But I was that person, and now I'm this person. And this person has a much better quality of life and is much, 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 much happier.
And you're still carry on evolving, no doubt. Think back to, actually, I would say, I'm 43 now, but even at 40, there was a change for me, in the sense that you'd have these stories you tell yourself as well. And I started having like a little mantra, and it'd be like, I'm proud I'm someone that doesn't give up. Because in the past, with things that I'd set my sights on, I'd have these reasons why I couldn't possibly do that. You know, in my early 30s, I had this autoimmune condition, and I think I still clung on to that as a reason why it was harder for me, because I'd get these back niggles. I still do, but it's not, is it? I mean, it is harder in some ways, but it doesn't mean you can't. It just means you need to start where you are, and what your starting place might be different to someone else's. And then I just started saying to myself, really proud I'm someone that doesn't give up. And I made that my thing. Whatever I decide I'm going to do, I'll do it in whatever way I can, but I'm not bloody giving up. I might have things that don't always work, but I'm still not as brave as you with getting my body out, which might seem weird as a PT. Like, my husband has said to me in the past, as I'm there in my swimming costume, I will wear a bikini, but in my swimming costume, he's like, why are you wearing a swim costume today? And I'm like, I just feel kind of a bit more comfortable. But again, it's just, sometimes I think we have these, not so much insecurities, but you do have these, it probably stems from years ago, doesn't it? Where you find it hard just to take that next step, to doing that next thing. So while I'll be very brave in some areas, much braver than I used to be, there's other areas that's still work in progress. My friends always saying to me, get your body out a bit more, Ruth. And I'm like, oh, no one needs to see, because I do also believe that. I'm like, I don't want to be one of those PTs that's always like there saying, look at me. But equally, being confident enough to do that is inspiring to me, Lisa, seeing you just really being yourself. I love how you show up and you'll cry on your Instagram page. Sometimes I'm not, and you'll also say when things are going really well, but also when they're not. I remember around Christmas time, you coming on saying you were very proud that you hadn't shouted at your family, and then a couple of days later you came on again to say you had.
Because that's life.
It is.
Ruth, I'm going to challenge you a little bit.
I thought you were. I could see you writing something down.
Yeah, I did.
Here we go.
Number one, I don't give up. Now, you brought that up, which makes me think there's an expression within yourself that you'd like to be in a bikini without caring, you know.
Oh, 100%. But yes, yeah, I'd love to not care.
So there's an awareness there of something. Like if you're wearing, and I only wore my first bikini about I think I probably came, weirdly, this is true, I went out on Instagram in my underwear before I would wear a bikini out in the world. because that was harder. Instagram has been my therapy because I could put a picture of myself in my underwear out to the anonymous world. And every now and then I'd see like a like from a friend's husband and I think, oh, no.
If my mum likes anything on my Instagram, I'm like, I've even had to say to her, can you not message me on Instagram? Why is that?
Well, and at the very beginning, I wanted to block everyone I knew in real life for that very reason. Luckily, there is no hope in the world that my mother or father will get on any podcast, there's nothing that I can't say about them that they would find. My sisters would find it though, maybe. But it was harder for me to wear a bikini in the real world because I still had that opinion. I thought my body was like, if you do a selfie on Instagram, and I know we're not particularly a video, but, I can look like this, or I can get my selfie angle so that I've got a chiseled chin.
You're not going to be putting up the worst angles, are you?
Well, I do try now.
Yeah, exactly. How many shots did it take to get there? So, yeah.
And you get better and better at it. But the bikini thing, I definitely had some limiting beliefs. And in my head, this was the truth. So I'm just going to see if it's the truth in your head. In my head, everybody would be looking at me.
You're right, but nobody is. I know that because I'm not looking at anyone else in a bikini. And if I'm on the beach and I'm wearing a bikini, I normally feel fine to an extent. I'll feel fine if I'm on the beach with my husband and so on. But we went on a boat cruise thing when we were in Barbados last. And I didn't wear my bikini on the boat with everyone. It was more dancing and stuff going on. But I don't know why I didn't feel comfortable enough to do that. There's women there who couldn't give a shit, but I don't know what it is. I have to be honest though, in Barbados, I have been known to be talking to people and they literally look you up and down. They're not being rude, they're just acknowledging your body. So I guess there's that. But yeah, I do think that there is that element of people looking, judging. Maybe they have in the past.
You've made up the story that they're judgy. It might be cultural that you look at everybody's body, but also if they are judgy, do you care?
Oh no, they're not judgy. They're judging in a good way. They're just happy that you're there and you're having a good time. They couldn't give a shit. But I think maybe there's been in the past some judgment that's stuck, but I don't know. Because really, I don't. Get inside our own head. You're so right. But it's interesting because I was talking to my husband about it a little while ago. And I think they were talking about when you see people in the gym or so, and I was like, I genuinely don't see people's bodies in that way. I just see people doing stuff. And I think that can be hard for some people to understand. I think men will often notice if a guy's got a lot of muscles. I'm like, women don't care how much muscle a guy's got. They really don't. I want my husband to be as healthy as he can be because I want him to feel good. But how much muscle he's got really doesn't bother me, but yeah.
And I think you're so right that we aren't looking at judging other women. And if we are looking at some people would say everyone's looking and judging other women, but if we are, do we really care? What you think about me is your problem, it's not mine. And I'm going to go back to, like you said, no one needs to see that. Ruth, for a PT, I've never heard quite such a limiting self-belief.
I know. Yeah.
The idea. So my thing would be, fuck it. My thing would be, I'd like you to turn up to your next, well, maybe not now because it's bloody freezing out there.
It is so cold.
Wear the crop top and the Lululemon shorts. Jesus, my gym is full of people that wear crop tops and Lululemon shorts. And do you know what I think it's like? There's a bit of me at the moment. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the judgy and go against everything we said. When I first walked in there, I was a bit like, I had my hoodie up, my ripped hoodie, and I was
That's what I look like in the gym. Hoodie up, mine's just cold.
Which is fine.
Shorts on. I do wear shorts often.
But I want to look like them. The truth is, I want to be like them. So I would rather be in the gym around crop top, short wearing Lululemon ladies, because I want to get fitter and healthier. And they are my inspiration. On one hand, I can hate them. Not really. But, on the one hand, I can dislike them. But on the other hand, I'm like, when my brain kicks into awareness, I'm like, God, you're bloody amazing. And you also know when you're in this world, they've worked hard to get there. They didn't just wake up one morning with those muscles in their shoulder things or their arms or whatever. They showed up for themselves again. So they're brilliant. And you are that person. You are the person that's showing up for people. And if you show up online and say, sorry, this sounds like telling off unsolicited advice.
You can please do. I love it. All of it.
But if you're showing up and saying no one needs to see that, you're telling people that watch you, keep it in.
And I'm sorry if that is... Yeah, no, 100%. And you know, I've got so much better, because often when these thoughts creep up, and I'm being very honest with you today, because I think we all do have them, and I think that's, but now when I have them, I will happily challenge myself. Whereas in the past, I would let them take over. Now it's more like, where's that come from? And you know, I am proud of what I can do. I'm proud of being strong and being capable, but I do also know that there is that fear around doing certain things, you know, just and who knows exactly where it comes from. But equally, I'm the most content. I'm not the smallest I've ever been, but I'm the most content I've been with my body ever, because of the fact that I am not doing things to look a certain way. I'm doing them because they make me feel good. And as a byproduct of that, I am feeling better in myself. And I think that's what I see in you as well, Lisa, is that you're doing things because they make you feel good. And as a byproduct, you're happier to show up fully. And I think that that's maybe my next step, is being a little bit braver. I am somebody who is, I'm trying to think of the best way of saying it. I care deeply, but my friend sent me a meme the other day, and she said something about, I want a hug, and it's like, oh, no thanks, but you can have my kidney if you need one. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. I will do anything for my friends. I love them deeply, and they know that. But I'm not so good at being the person that's going to hug and cry with them.
But celebrate that. I mean, how wonderful is that? How wonderful is that? And you know, we can't give away everything. We can't give our energy away for everything. We have to choose who we are and what we stand for. I think for me, it's about choosing that and owning it and being like, it's not that you know, it's not that I probably won't give you my kidney, but I will give you a hug.
Yeah. But do you know what? That's okay. I think we all need the different sides of people in our life.
Because that's the gorgeousness, isn't it? That's the rich mix. We need some hug givers and we need some kidney givers, and we need to be okay that we're the hug giver or the kidney giver. But it's just so, yeah. And Ruth, have you got daughters or sons?
I've got sons. I've got two sons.
Because I often think, I've got a daughter and two sons, and sometimes, and that's why I said the thing about your clients, but I often think as women, we martyr ourselves. Like we're programmed to look after everybody's needs, like 1,000%. And sometimes we can't make a change for ourselves. It's very hard to change our own limiting beliefs or whatever. It's hard if we're just looking at ourselves. But for example, for me, with my daughter, it is what I do and not what I say that she inherits. And so if I'm going through something or martyring myself or like trying to pull a great Christmas out of the bag and failing miserably and shouting at everybody, that's the experience that I'm giving her. And if I've decided that I'm buying too many presents and wrapping them and making everything too perfect and it's all got to be, and then I lose my rag about it all, that's what I'm giving her. She will have to deliver Christmas the same way that I did. And I forgive myself all the time. I'm the best person at failing at everything. I'm happy to be bad at everything and fail again. And I just go, oh, well, there we go. I failed again. So even if I failed and, you know, I sort of pulled a good Christmas out of the bag and then I lost it and shouted at my middle kid and, you know, ruined some days for everybody. That's not the Christmas I want to give her to hold as an adult, but the awareness. That's all we've got. That's all we've got.
I will often have those conversations as well with my boys, because in the past I wouldn't have. I would have just been tutting and, you know, like we do. And now if I find myself doing that, I'll tell them why. I'll be like, I'm so sorry. I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed today because I've got this and this to do. It's not you. You just came in at a bad time. And I think that they're old enough, 14 and 16, to understand that. And normally they feel pleased that I've spoken to them about it. And they're not too young to know what their parents are really feeling. I think that it's important. And I like that we can have those conversations. They're both on the autistic spectrum. My eldest they're both high functioning, but my eldest is more kind of autistic. If you were to meet him, he might be like not looking at you, but still very able to have those conversations. And I think it benefits them more to talk about those emotions, because it's so easy to mask things when you're autistic. Or if you've got ADHD. I realized that. I was watching Alison Hammond on Bake Off a little while back, and she's a bit like you with the fact that she's like happy to be out there and so on. And I thought, oh, this is interesting, because I was thinking, what would I behave like on Bake Off if Alison was around me? Because she's lovely, she's fun. And I was like, there's part of me that would be like inside going, this is too much, because I'm happy to be bubbly. But if she was like coming over, and I was thinking, I would have acted at being absolutely fine with that when I was younger. I didn't realize that I was acting a lot of the time. But now I'd be happy to go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Just 1 minute. And it's fine. And that means that I've got a lot of friends who would be like that, but we understand each other. But I thought as a kid, I would have thought it was wrong for me to feel that way, and that there was something wrong with me.
Ruth, do you talk about that a lot on your Instagram or podcast?
What about
people being too much?
Never.
Well, you are talking about it now.
Yes, I'm happy to talk about these things. There's nothing I won't talk about, really. But I think...
I think that's such an important message. And just because you've just like clicked something in my mind, I'm a bit better since COVID. Like I might ask someone if I can hug them. I might.
Oh, I don't mind a forward
hug. Hammond.
Yes. Yeah, I love it. And I love her. I think she's brilliant. And I think you're brilliant. And I would, if somebody like you were to come up and hug me, I would hug back and I would enjoy that hug. But I think it would be, for me, like people joke, like the guys at the gym used to say that I don't like hugs. I'm like, no, I don't like an awkward hug, where there's that kind of like, don't they want a hug? But if somebody just comes over and hugs me, I'll give them a hug. But I think there's also the kind of feeling like you're then having to join in this dance and actually kind of going, I'll be me and I'll do all of the things you're doing, but I'm going to do it in my way because I can't do that, you know?
But isn't it, this is again our glorious weave of, you know, Joseph's Technicolored Coat about how different we are and storytelling. Because interestingly, my middle sister's less of a hugger, my older sister's a hugger. But I'm not saying you're not a hugger. I'm not trying to call you.
I'm probably not. My husband's such a hugger as well. If my friends are struggling and they come over, I'm like, do you want Mac to give you a hug? And they're like, oh yes. It's terrible. I'm like, they're feeling sad, and he's like, I'm here.
But that's so fabulous. But also that awareness that we have to have with, like, we're so often let's go back to our own head. We're all in our head in our own way. And the more opportunity we have to engage, where people sometimes say, and I'm not saying this is you, but to a degree where someone's like, do you know what? Just not for me. That's not me, number one. And by saying that, you help other people be themselves, however that is, or whatever the real, God, half the time we don't even know who we are, Ruth. Like we've covered up with so many masks. We don't know whether we're hugging or not hugging or coming or going. And I just think there's a really important conversation there about who we really are and what we're comfortable about. And when I reduced my drinking massively, and we don't have to go there, but menopause.
No, I love talking about alcohol as well. Yeah.
Oh, so alcohol for me, the truth is I used to drink far, far, far too much. I used to I was a socially acceptable binge drinker, kiddies tea, a couple of bottles of Sauvignon Blanc, 5 p.m. on a Friday, might be a Thursday, might be a Saturday. And I felt terrible from it. I felt terrible. I'd be hungover. Like I didn't like the way I showed up for my family, my kids. No. But now I realise, and I was life and soul, I could get people on a Monday night, school mums, on a Monday night until 3 a.m. dancing on a table. Like, the cocktails, I was the entertainment, I was whatever. At least that's what I thought I was. They probably got a different
I bet you were,
story.
and I'm sure you'd be great fun still if you were doing that, but you don't need it.
However, but I was masking, Ruth. I was getting through it. I was, dumbing down my emotions. I used whatever for it. What do you call alcohol? I used it's a drug, but...
Well, it is a drug, but I don't know what you'd call it other than it's mask. It helps you dull those senses. And I think about some of the times that I've been like dancing and joining in, and alcohol would help with that. But what I've realized now, I don't drink so much. We were talking about cortisol earlier and stress. I had a high hormone level, prolactin, which is actually a pregnancy hormone, but it is also a stress hormone. And one of the things that can make this hormone level higher is alcohol. And yet it was the one change I wasn't making. I wasn't cutting it out. It's weird. It's like this thing that it's hard to do it. And I think then I had a little word with myself at the stage where I was getting a bit more self-reflective and looking at what I could control and realizing it wasn't serving me in the way that I was. So I didn't give it up, but I chose to only do it because I was feeling good, because I'm with people I love and I'm celebrating it only because I'm feeling good, never as reaction to stress, and then focus on less often more enjoyable. So maybe some champagne once a month rather than having something. And actually as a result, I very rarely drink. We saw my brother-in-law and sister-in-law from Australia the other day, so I had a couple of glasses of wine with them, but I don't drink in the same way and feel much better for it. But perhaps that is why I'm now more self-aware when I'm out, that I am not necessarily that person. I'd still love seeing you being that person, and I'd join in, but I wouldn't be likely the one that would, I don't know. Yeah, it would depend. I think that's the thing. It's okay for it to depend. You get me in my kitchen and I'm dancing away, Lisa. I've got clapping under the knees, all sorts, singing into my wooden spoon.
Oh, I love it. And I think the thing is, another thing, I think alcohol sits better. I know this is true for me. Alcohol, if you're exactly what you said, if you have a glass of wine when you're in a good, happy mood, the hangover the next day is just not the same. If you have it when you're stressed, because you've already got those hormones running through your body, the hangover the next day is far, far worse. I think that's number one. And
it
number
adds
two,
stress to your system. Yeah.
Say again.
It adds more stress. So we don't have one pot. So if you're tired, you're drinking alcohol, you're stressed from work and everything, you're just adding to that stress on your nervous system. Yeah.
That makes sense, actually. I'd never thought about it like that. And the other thing about removing alcohol means that I haven't removed it altogether either, Ruth. No. I'm very similar to you, but there were many years where I wasn't happy with my alcohol levels and the effect it had on me. And now I'm in a much happier place. And I couldn't tell you how often I drink or don't drink, because it's just not a big thing anymore. It's there or it's not there if I want it or I don't want it. But I am less sociable, and I'm a different person than the person that drank a lot of alcohol, because I could put myself in more social situations all the time with alcohol, and I would stay at parties later, because you drink past you forget all of those signals, the tired signal, whatever those signals, you just cut them out with alcohol. Yeah. And so when you're not drinking it in order to socialize or have a good time, like I can have a really lovely time with people now. In fact, I've got loads of people coming tomorrow for lasagna. I've said you can all come for lasagna, but you are to leave by 9:30. Like, we'll have a lovely time together, but 9:30 you're gone because I'm tired. And, at the moment, brilliant. I've got a lot on. It's like, and then they'll probably leave at 10, but I add in an extra half an hour for those long goodbyes. But, it's like, I'm less sociable, and my boundaries are stronger, and I'm more able to tell people to tell people what I need and what I want. And people respect it. And to be perfectly honest, most people are really glad to leave at 9:30 or 10 o'clock, because then we get a good night's sleep.
Yes. In the moment, you might be having a good time and wanting to carry on, but the morning you is very, very grateful that you went to bed earlier. Sleep makes everything so much easier, doesn't it? So much easier. Do you set goals? I don't know if you set goals or if you just continue showing up in the way that you are.
I felt 2025, weirdly, 2025 for me was a really, really busy year. Like, I launched the podcast, as you said. I launched the money conversation business to teach people and to invest. Raccoon on
She's
Met.
A very useful person.
But I launched so much of it, and it was a bit of a year of saying yes. So somebody approached me about a podcast, I said yes. The opportunity for the money conversation, I said yes. I'm teaching midlife women. I'm delivering a course at the moment, how to teach women how to build businesses, digital projects on a platform called Mass.io. They asked me if I wanted to do it. Yes. I've put myself in the way of so many people and just said yes. But I had no goals, interestingly, weirdly. And I found that year I won't lie, stressful was the word that just came in my head. So 2026, interestingly, I was like, Lisa, you need some goals. because it's enjoyable. It's not big goals, but I do like to have some goals because then you feel like you're working towards something and you get a little, it's like on my to-do list, I've got those little bullet points on my phone, on my notes that you can push and it ticks it and moves it.
Yeah.
It's like, God, it's just joy on earth. So I have signed up to a full iron aqua bike in July.
Just as you do.
As you do. The sad thing is that my sisters have now all booked to go to America to visit my cousins, and it overlaps that. And they're like, "Are you coming? Are you coming? Are you coming?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know."
So torn.
I am torn. I probably will do, if I can sort the family holiday out, I'll probably do the family holiday because I can do another aqua bike. But they're expensive. They're expensive, Ruth. And I did not.
I wonder if you can postpone it, if they'll let you defer it.
If I do it now, I need to check that out today. It's been on my mind.
It might be that you could defer it to another year.
But this year, Ruth, is the year of my knees. That's it. That is my goal. My goal is that my knees are aging. They're a little bit under the weight, suffering under the weight of the world. I have done, I've done a half iron before, and I've done things as a bigger woman. And there is some kind of mechanical, like I know there's something in your knee called the Hodgson's fat pad. You probably know that.
Yes.
And mine's not there, or it's eroded.
Oh, so is it rubbing bone?
It's rubbing.
Yeah, okay.
I'm rubbing. So
Painful.
This is the year of the knees, and I've got a little YouTube video that I watch every day, or there's a few of them, and I watch every day, and I do the strength, calf raises, and I'm doing those every day, non-negotiables. And those little 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes, Ruth. Yeah, it's not, it goes back to what you said, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But the cumulative effect of that, and I've got an accountability buddy on Instagram, and we've committed to, we'll do January. I intend to continue it on. So knee strengthening exercises. I'm going to get stronger. I want to improve my VO2 max. I want to do all of those things that release some of the weight on my knees. So it's the year of the knees. So this whole goal for the year is about my knees. And actually the aqua bike I would have done or not done. The reason why I wasn't doing the run was because of my knees. Mm-hmm. And the aqua bike I would have done or not done if I had felt like I wasn't in the right place in my knee journey. The knees go first. So I'm doing anything to do with knees, if that makes sense.
And then I like that it's knees, but you've got your goals so the outcome is healthy knees, feeling good. But then to get there, you've got those little actions that you can tick off and say, this is what I need to do. So I call them in my community like progress goals. I'm like, you might have your outcome, but then you focus on the simple things that you can do each day or each week that will get you closer to there, that don't feel big or overwhelming. And I think that having a goal about knees is future health, future you, but it's also something that you can monitor. You can be thinking about, have I done something to help my knees today? And I'm sure that you're doing it most days. Again, it will be the majority of the time, not all the time. But I think that's fantastic.
Non-negotiables, but non-negotiables don't have to be. You're so right. No. And that's such a female thing, is like, oh, I didn't do it today, I'm going to die, or I'm going to stop. Not at all, definitely.
It's one of my clients said that I'd said this on the podcast. When you say things on a podcast and you just say it and you don't know, but she said my last podcast, and I was talking about flexibility, but she was like, you said that consistency wasn't doing it every day. Consistency is doing what you do the majority of the time. Not every day is going to be the same. So we do definitely need to be able to adapt and adjust. I've set myself, the only goals I've set this, really, I've just looked at a month. My sleep was a bit shit over Christmas. And as you will know, that when our sleep's not so good, everything else feels harder. So I've just focused on getting back into a decent sleep routine with a habit of popping my phone on charge just a bit earlier. So I always put it on charge downstairs, but making sure it's on charge by 9 o'clock so that I can then leave it alone and not be sucked into anything else. It's very easy to do that. It might not seem like a big goal to everyone else. It's just a little habit that I'm making sure I'm doing. And then more can happen as a result of that, because I will feel better for sleeping. And you'll feel better for having healthy knees.
And actually I've got a phone goal as well, the same as you. I've put downtime on my phone, and I break it sometimes. I break into it anyway. But I've put downtime on my phone between 8:30 p.m. and 7:30 a.m. because I'm trying not to look at it in the evening. It's exactly what you're doing, just in a different way. Yeah. And I've put an hour bar. I just have Instagram for an hour now. And again, I probably that's probably not quite achievable for me because I do quite a lot on Instagram, but it has, my phone time was down by 35% this week. What difference? What difference?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so easy to get sucked
Not
in.
just the kids.
And it's funny because, you know, like you, Instagram becomes part of your work and what you're showing up for. And it can take over. I do not need to be browsing reels and looking at all the dog reels because I have actually changed my algorithm now, so it includes dog videos. So I was like, why is there no dogs on there? So I actually changed it. I don't need that for my work. I don't need it, but it happens. But during the day when I'm busy working, I'll forget to look at it. You know, I can forget about my phone completely. But also it's on your mind because you're thinking about things you want to put on social media. And actually, I love you just showing up. Yeah, it's just there, isn't it? Because I've accepted. I used to begrudge it. Oh, got to do that. I accept now that social media is part of work, part of my job, and actually I enjoy it more because I've made that distinction. I've separated it from something that I feel like I have to do to something I get to do because I get to work with incredible women and so on. So now I don't mind doing it, but it means it's on my mind. Oh, what can I talk about on my Instagram today? All the time.
So you just said I just show up, but actually sometimes that's why I've tried to create a bit more space in my morning. And the reason is because I'd go to sleep and wake up in the morning thinking, what am I going to say this morning? Now, sometimes I have 100 different thoughts in my head of what I want to say. Sometimes I formulate. I found over Christmas, do you know what it was? It was the lack of sleep, same as you. Sleep was getting worse. So then I'd be awake and think, oh, I wonder what I'm going to put tomorrow or start for, but madness formulation, not even helpful. If I really want to do that, sit down with a book and a pen and just journal out a few ideas. It wasn't that. It was just the doom scrolling in my head. I didn't even have the phone with me. And so I hear you on that. And again, it's part of our welfare, isn't it? It's about showing up for ourselves is how we moderate the things, everything we consume. And it doesn't have to be big. It can be one tiny small thing at a time. But we are responsible for everything we consume. Food, drink, movement, people. If there's toxic people near us, we are responsible for that. That's our job to remove ourselves, or what we put in or what we don't allow in. Only we can, at the end of the day, only we can show up for ourselves. Only we get to decide what the quality of our life is. And the quality of our life is the result of what you would call progress goals, small, tiny, consistent progress goals.
Yeah, you're so right. We can't change what other people are doing. They don't get to decide how we feel, really. They might say or act, whatever. It's up to us as to how that's going to impact us going forward. And I think that's always good to understand, to just know that you can show up for you. There was a book called Personality Isn't Permanent, that if you are somebody that has these self-limit, not you, just anyone listening, but if you're somebody that has any self-limiting beliefs, and tell yourself those messages of I'm lazy, or, you know, this is the way I am, I've always been like this, it's a good book to read or listen to, because it will show you that you're not. And I know for certain that I am not the same person I was even 3 years ago then, and definitely not the same person as I was 10 years ago. And I know that I'm not a finished product now, but we can think that right now this version of us is the finished product. That's very common. And it isn't. If you look at how we're very good at seeing how much we've changed in the past, but we don't believe that change is necessarily possible in the future. But we're all capable of change, and you've done it in the best way because of the fact that you're being brave. In fact, there was something before we go, because you said walking this way is about getting a little bit more self-love than you did the day before, and to show up in a way that scares you a little, and to take a long walk, and to wear a bikini. That's what I've written down from the episode that I listened to. And so was that your goal then, just to be a little bit braver and to wear the goddamn bikini?
And to wear the goddamn bikini. It was a big one for me to wear the goddamn bikini, but it's not big anymore, but it was big for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's little adventures, isn't it, Ruth? We're so lucky to be alive. We're lucky to be alive. We've got so much richness and experience, the ability to experience things. And that doesn't have to be big, expensive things. It's like little things on our doorstep. And I am ever grateful. Every morning I wake up, I do smile inside that I get to do another day. I'm looking forward to my 50s. They're coming soon enough, but I'm looking forward to my 50s and 60s because, you know, how much, like, going back to that slightly lost 39-year-old, it's not linear. I've had we won't go there now, but I did, you know, I've had mini breakdowns in those 10 years as well that I would definitely call a breakdown. But you come back and you get to live another day. And I am ever so grateful.
I think we sometimes think that at the time these things are happening, these difficult times, they feel like the worst thing ever. But normally, and I know it can be hard to realize, but definitely for me, if I think about that really difficult time when I was ill, I'm glad I experienced it. It sounds very strange. I had to change how I was approaching life then. And then there have been times along the way that have felt a bit harder. And it's been those challenges that have then made me go, hang on a second, I need to really look inwardly here. Perhaps I'm the problem. Perhaps the reason these things are happening is because I'm neglecting something. And so lessons can be learned along the way when things go wrong. And I think we often see it as failure, but it isn't. It's just we're learning because we've not focused on something. So our body's shouting loudly at us that we need to change. Just try and get there before it does.
Yeah, that's the point, isn't it? If you don't wake up to that awareness, it's going to give you that awareness.
Oh, yeah.
And if we think life is done, the wake-up call, and life is done for us, not to us. I think that's another really, it's done for us.
The amount of times I wanted somebody to tell me exactly what was wrong so that I could just have a little bit of medicine at the time when I wasn't getting better after being, well, give me the medicine, please, and I'll get better, fish, bash, bosh. And I wasn't getting better. So anyway, it turns out that it was actually the work then was down to me.
It's always down to us, Ruth. There's nobody's coming to save us.
Nobody's going to fix you. Nobody. Yeah, exactly. Go and check out Lisa on her Instagram page, Walking This Way, because she is a breath of fresh air. If you're surrounded by people taking life very seriously, you're not going to find that on her page. And hey, you never know, you might get called in to do a naked photo shoot with her at some point in the future. But that is, so good to see. And I think that if you're ever in doubt about showing your body as well, realizing if you look at the comments that people are leaving, Lisa, they're positive. You're inspiring others and inspiring me too, because I think everyone has these insecurities. We think, oh, it's easy for them or it's not easy for them. But most people have some form of insecurity that they need to let go of or talk about or reflect on. There you go.
Awareness.
Thank you so much for coming. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. Anything you want to say before we say goodbye?
Oh, no, Ruth, all I want to say is thank you. It's been a delight to actually speak to you and get to know you a bit better. I know geographically we're quite far away from each other, but if you're ever up in this way or I'm down in your way, I'd love for us to have an in real life cup of tea. And thank you so much.
I would love that. And you're in London, aren't you? Yeah. In the hubbub, in the excitement that is London. I do sometimes go.
But thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for coming. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. Now, if you've enjoyed this episode, do make sure that you're following or that you've subscribed so you don't miss out on the next one. And if you want some support putting this into practice, then come and join us inside the No Crap Cake Method. This is where we focus on building strength, confidence, and consistency in a way that feels good and that fits with your life. All the links to this will be in the show notes. But until next time, goodbye.